And in the Impact segment tonight, there are reports Donald Trump may be changing his immigration vision. As you may know, just about a year ago, he said on The Factor he would deport millions of illegal aliens in a humane way, quote, humane way. That, of course, would require spending billions of dollars, hiring a bevy of new federal agents, and enduring extensive court proceedings, as we debated back then. Joining us now from Akron, Ohio, is Donald Trump. So the media, as you know, running wild with this. Are you really rethinking your mass deportation strategy?
I just want to follow the law. What I'm doing is following the law. You know, this was put out. We had a great meeting over the weekend with Hispanics and leaders of the Hispanic community, and we discussed a lot of different things, and this was one of the many things that was discussed. And one of the groups, one of the media outlets that have gotten everything about me wrong, including the fact that I'd never run, and the reporter actually said he'd give up his salary if he did. I don't think I've ever held him to that. But one of these media outlets said that they had word from one of the people. It turned out to be false. In fact, the people all denied it, Bill, and I think you probably have seen that.
But I want to get on the record once again.
We had a great. Well, let me explain to you. We had a great meeting with Hispanic leaders. Yeah. It was at Trump Tower, and it was very, very. I think it was very obvious what took place because they came out and they said exactly what took place, but the media got it wrong. We're going to obey the existing laws. Now, the existing laws are very strong. The existing laws, the first thing we're going to do, if and when I win, is we're going to get rid of all of the bad ones. We got gang members, we have killers, we have a lot of bad people that have to get out of this country. We're going to get them out, and the police know who they are. They're known by law enforcement who they are. We don't do anything. They go around killing people and hurting people, and they're going to be out of this country so fast your head will spin. We have existing laws that allow you to do that. As far as everybody else, we're going to go through the process. What people don't know is that Obama got tremendous numbers of people out of the country. Bush, the same thing. Lots of people were brought out of the country with the existing laws. Well, I'm going to do the same thing, and I just said that.
Okay, but here's what everybody wants to know.
We want to do it in a very humane.
Okay.
We want to do it in a very humane manner.
You're going to have to go through the court system when you deport, as they have to do now. That means you're going to have to add federal judges. You're going to have to do a lot of things to make this thing efficient. Also, and here's the crux of the whole matter, and you know this. The actual seizure of human beings, taking them from their homes and putting them in a detention center so that their illegal alien status can be adjudicated. Do you see that it's something?
You don't have to put them in a detention center. Bill, you're the first one to mention detention center. You don't have to put them in a detention center.
All right, so you wouldn't do that. You'd keep them in their homes.
These people. No, I never said. I never even heard the term. I'm not going to put them in a detention center.
Well, you cited Dwight Eisenhower. Mr. Trump, you cited Dwight Eisenhower on this program.
It was in 1952.
Right.
Who, by the way, deported tremendous numbers.
Well, he rounded them up.
I mean, he did do that.
He took them out. And so when you cited him as an example of someone that you would emulate, that's what the conclusion is.
Yeah, I said that it's something that has been done in a very strong manner. I don't agree with that. I'm not talking about detention centers. I have very, very good relationships with a lot of people, a lot of Hispanic people. We're talking about it. We're going to get rid of the bad ones. The bad ones are going to be out of here fast. And you know there are plenty of bad ones. Gang members, gang leaders.
Sure,
you look at Los Angeles, you see what's happening.
Right.
They're going out fast. They're going to be out of here so fast your head will spin. As far as the rest, we're going to go through the process like they are now, perhaps with a lot more energy. And we're going to do it only through the system of laws.
Okay. Good. Now, I want to play you.
And by the way, Bill, that are in existence.
I know. I mean, they haven't enforced immigration law since Ronald Reagan in this country. Everybody knows that. Now, let's turn to violent crime. I want to play a short soundbite of what you said recently. Go.
The chaos and violence on our streets and the assault on law enforcement are really and truly an attack against all peaceful citizens. If I'm elected president, this chaos and violence will end, and it will end very, very quickly.
So how? You have in Chicago a problem. Did you know that murders in Chicago are up 50% this year from last year?
I know it. I know it very well.
And they can't solve it. They can't solve it. State of Illinois, City of Chicago can't do it.
Well, you know why they can't solve it? Because I don't think they have the right people in charge.
So, all right. So specifically, how do you do it? How do you do it?
I know police in Chicago. If they were given the authority to do it, they would get it done.
How?
You have unbelievable. How? By being very much tougher than they are right now. They're right now not tough. I mean, I could tell you this very long and quite boring story, but when I was in Chicago, I got to meet a couple of very top police. I said, how do you stop this? How do you stop this? If you were put in charge to a specific person, do you think you could stop it? He said, Mr. Trump, I'd be able to stop it in 1 week. And I believed him 100%.
How? Did he tell you how he would be able to stop it in 1 week?
He wants to use tough. He wants to use tough police tactics.
But you have to have a warrant to arrest
people.
You can't beat them up. You have to have a warrant to arrest them. You have to have.
All I know is this. I went to a top police officer in Chicago who is not the police chief, and I could see by the way he was dealing with his people, he was a rough, tough guy. They respected him greatly. I said, how do you think you do it? He said, Mr. Trump, within 1 week, we could stop much of this.
But he didn't tell you exactly precisely how, because that's
no, and I didn't ask him
know.
because I'm not the mayor of Chicago. But I tell you what, I sent his name in and I said, you probably should hire this guy because you have, you know the expression, you have nothing to lose? Look at what's going on in Chicago. It's horrible. This guy felt totally confident that he could stop it in a very short period of time.
So
it's
nationwide,
a little bit like we could win the war a lot quicker if we'd let our generals do the job properly. This was a man.
But you have to have a strategy, though. What I'm trying to get is you have to have a strategy.
I'm sure he's got a strategy.
Okay, but you're going to be. If you're president, you're going to have your strategy. So let's just take a very micro issue: attacks on police. All right. So they're rising because they're being police officers in some places being demonized, and now unstable people.
And people are being coddled.
Okay.
People are being coddled.
So you're president. How are you going to stop attacks on police in the present climate?
Well, first of all, we need somebody that's going to be a cheerleader for the police to an extent. Right now, I just left the Akron police and some other people, and they are terrific people, and they feel like they're being left behind by our leadership. They're not being respected by our leadership, and they literally, they don't have spirit. They lose their spirit. Every time something happens, it's the police's fault. Look,
your tone is pro-police.
You have to have.
Well, how do you stop the bad guys from attacking them?
By giving them back your spirit and by allowing them to go and counterattack. I mean, it's ridiculous what's happening. They're not respecting the police anymore, and the police are afraid to do anything. I've spoken to so many police. I mean, I've gotten to know them. I have endorsements from, like, almost everybody in terms of police and law enforcement. And I've spoken to so many. And they're afraid to do anything because they don't want to lose their job. They don't even want to talk to people anymore because they're afraid that something will happen. That'll be the end of their job, their pension, their family, the whole thing. They're petrified to act.
Are you going to make governors like Cuomo in your state of New York, are you going to change their minds about their liberal policies that do, and Mayor de Blasio in the city in which you live, that, you know, he almost encourages bad behavior toward police, that mayor? How are you ever going to change a Governor Cuomo or a Mayor de Blasio?
Well, first of all, de Blasio has been a terrible mayor. The police have no respect for him whatsoever. They dislike him tremendously. And in fact, for a period of time, a long period of time, and they'd like to do it again, they turn their back whenever he speaks. I mean, they literally turn a whole police force.
But how are you going to change him and change policy?
They're going to have to change themselves. All I can do is from the top, I would be very, very strong in terms of being a cheerleader for the police. They do a great job, and they're not recognized for it. And when they do have a problem, when something happens, whether it's a road cop, which can happen, or whether somebody makes a mistake, it's on your show and every show for the next 2 weeks. It's very unfair. And I was saying the other day, they can do 200,000 great acts, 200,000. And one bad one, whether it's, again, bad or whether it's a mistake, who knows? And it's on the evening news for 2 weeks.
That's an excellent point.
They don't talk about the 200,000 good things.
The media has been derelict in that as well.
Maybe we have to let people know the good aspects of the police, which nobody wants to cover.
Now, we're going to have more with Mr. Trump in a moment. We're going to talk about his campaign and how it stands now. Then later, Miller on the African-American vote and Waters causing his usual trouble. Those reports after these messages. Ohio this evening. So your campaign has new leadership. Both Corey Lewandowski and Paul Manafort have left. How do you see the turnover? Do you think it matters to voters, or what's going on?
Well, I wanted to keep Paul as a chairman, but, you know, it was just something I felt we should do because that was really one event, if you think of it. But I ultimately decided, he's a good guy, but I ultimately decided I want to run the campaign the way I want to run the campaign. And, you know, we just had a poll come out, the Los Angeles Times, that has us 2 points ahead. We're very close in Ohio. We're right about even in Florida. I think we're doing very well. And don't forget, she's spending a fortune of money. And when people find out that she wants 550% more Syrian refugees to come pouring into our country, you know, speaking about law enforcement from your previous section, she wants 550% more Syrian refugees to come pouring in. I think a lot of people are going to stop thinking about her. I think it's ridiculous. Frankly, with the email scandal, I don't even know how she's able to run.
It's because people don't pay that close attention. But anyway, let's get back to your campaign staff. When you're president, if you win, you're going to have to put together a staff, all right, of people to advise you and help you run the nation. Now you've turned over 2 guys in less than 6 months. Now, would it be fair to say your judgment about those 2 men wasn't good? Would that be unfair?
Well, in the meantime, in my company, I have people for many, many years, and I've done that. I just wanted to make this change. I felt very comfortable with the people that I have. I've liked them for a long time, and I wanted to make this change for a while, and I made it. You know, we have like 3 months to go, and I wanted to make sure that it was something that I wanted. And I like these people. I've always felt comfortable, and I decided to do it.
Now, the debate is going to be everything. You know that, right? The polls now, whether the LA Times has you ahead by 10 or 2 or you're behind 85 or what, it doesn't matter. The first debate is going to be the Super Bowl of debates, all right? So you and Hillary Clinton, all right? And everybody's going to be watching. Even the pinheads who don't watch will hear about it, and they'll see it on the Internet after the fact.
Right.
All right. You understand that this is make or break, right? The debate. It's make or break.
Well, I think it's going to be very important. I don't know if it's make or break, but I've done well in the debates. I had 17 people in the debates, and, you know, I'm the one that survived. And I've enjoyed the debating process. I never debated before professionally or as a politician because I was never a politician before. But we had 11 debates that I participated in, and according to everybody, I did very well.
All right. Now, are you going to call her crooked Hillary during the debate? I mean, are you going to do that, or are you going to keep it at a issue-based?
Well, I'm not going to say what I'm going to be doing, but I'll be doing what I'll be doing, and she's going to do what she's going to do, and we'll see what happens. Look,
but you must be preparing, right? I'm sure you got people in your organization that are preparing. You're preparing now. You're going to have stacks of research, and there's got to be ways in which to go. I'm just trying to get the tone and what you're, and of course that could change in 30 days. But the tone right now is: are you going to be the guy you were in the Republican? You know, boom, take no prisoners, or are you going to be a little bit more measured?
Well, I don't want to really say that. I'm not sure exactly which way I'm going to go, but I may be the way I was, and I may be a much different person. I can't tell you.
All right.
I don't think I'd tell you. You know what? If I knew, I don't think I'd tell you, frankly. But it'll be an interesting period of an hour and a half, I guess, it's scheduled for. And
I can't wait.
A pretty big audience, almost as big as the O'Reilly factor.
Well,
right?
you should have me moderate the debate. I mean, and then, I mean,
okay with me.
It's gloves off.
I'll bet you'd be fair, too. All
I would.
As a fair moderator.
I'll be absolutely fair to both of you, as I have been in this campaign so far. My job is to let the folks see you and Secretary Clinton as best I can put you in focus, not to push any agenda and not to do anything. And you know that. You get mad at me sometimes. But that's my job. Last question for you. They have said that this has been the worst 2 weeks of your campaign, all right? And now you have the new management, and now you're doing things a little bit differently. Do you feel that the last 2 weeks, beginning pretty much with the Muslim family, were the worst part of the campaign?
I don't think so. I mean, they'd ask me a question, I give them an answer. Like, for instance, when I said that President Obama was the founder of ISIS and he's going to get the MVP award next week, and then they say, well, Mr. Trump knows he wasn't the founder of ISIS. You know, they take it and they dice it up and chop it up.
Sure.
And it's very unfair. No, I don't think so. I think I've done very well. I think, frankly, the media, and you know this because you cover it all the time, in the history of politics, there's never been a more hostile media than to Donald Trump. So they'll take a perfectly good statement that I make, dice it up, chop it up, and then cover it for 3 days solid on some of the other networks.
You may be right about that.
Not too much.
You may be right about that.
I think we did very well, and I think the last week, and I think you've seen this, I think the last week has been the best week that I've ever had from the beginning, and that starts with the primaries. And most people have said that the last week,
because you're doing the speeches now, and you're not calling anybody names. But you always keep this in mind: the media did not like Chester Arthur very much. So I don't think it's at the level of you, but Chet got hammered a little bit. All right, Mr. Trump, as always, thank you for your time. We appreciate you being accessible, and we're hoping Hillary Clinton will come on The Factor as well. Plenty more ahead as The Factor moves along this evening. Dennis Miller.